camera's muted. Yeah, okay, all right. I think I should be good. All right, for brothers and sisters listening on the conference line, watching on the live stream, if you can locate where east is, so stand up and face east as we're about to do the prayer. Blessing of the Sabbath. Barakatah Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Asherah, Athananawa, Ashabaf, Bashadawam, the water, Amun. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, that give to us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it. Psalm 121. The Alyam Ma'a Asherayim Akkad. Anya Arayam Ayimya O Ahayam Ayan Yabua Isaiah Yabua Maya Hawa Shaisha Shamayam Wa'arataza La'a Yanathan Lamawat Wagalia Yala'a Yanawam Shashamoka Ana La'a Yanawam Wala'a Yeshan Shashamar Yasha Allah Yahweh Shemaya Yahweh Dazalia Il Yad Yanyam Yad Yawmam Ashamash La'a Achaya Ayorak La'a Balayala Yahweh Yashemaya Mako Rai Yashemar Napasha Yahweh Yashemar Aulakia Wawaya Ma'aitha Wa'aid Aiwulam Basham Yahushai Tuwara Aman. Psalm 121. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Amen. Shema Yashua, Israel. Shema Yashua, Yahweh, Allah, Yahweh, Ahad. Shema Yashua, Yahweh, Allah, Yahweh, Ahad. Shema Yashua, Yahweh, Allah, Yahweh, Ahad. Deuteronomy 6 and 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Amen. Yahweh Tapala, Yahweh's prayer. And this was Deuteronomy 6 and 4. So now we're going to read the Lord's Prayer. Matthew 6 and 9. Hebrew first. Abiyanawa Shabbat Shemayam Chodash Haya Shamka Yahawa Malakavka Taba'a Ratazawanka Haya Aisha Ba'arataza Ka Bashamayam Ratananawa Lakam Yawam Za Wasalaknawa Kawafnawa Kasalaknawa Kawaf Yanawa Wala'a Abiyanawa O Asai1 Abo Shainawa Murai Kaya Laka Awalakwaf Wa Allah Wa Taparaf Aiwulam Aman. English translation. Matthew 6 and 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. All right. So now we're going to read the Ten Commandments. Deuteronomy 20 and 3. Hebrew first. La'ah, Yahaya, Laka, Alahayim, Alchayim, Alpanya, La'ah, Taisha, Laka, Poso, Wala'ah, Taibadam, La'ah, Tarakwaka, Shamwa, Yahawa, Lawahaika, Lashua, Zakar, Ayuwam, Ashabaf, Lakodashwa, Chabad, Abika, Wa Amaka, La'a, Tawatazak, La'a, Tana'ah, La'a, Taganab, La'a, Ta'ina, Shukur, La'a, Takamad, Ko, Asherah, La Raika, Amen. Exodus 20 and 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Amen. Right? Yeshua, please be seated. Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Asherah, Natananawa, Parya Agapan, Tuara Aman, La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, At Yasha Allah. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it, to Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, with Israel. My dwell upon you while you wash them, stand face to them. Repeat the Hebrew only. Barakatah Yahweh, Akadom, Akaram, Abiyah, Wanawa'a, Aliyuwan, Malak, Shaw, Shemayim, Baratazah, Wako, Labayim, Kayayim, Wagum, Hamashiach, My Yahweh, Arawanawa, Ahabnawa, Hapala, Yahaitazah, Yahushai, Zakarnawa, Yahweh, Batazawan, Aimka, Yasha Allah, Aizonawa, Bana, Wasap, Yasha Allah. Oh, Nanawa, Yum, Aitha, Kaiwamyam, Makodam, Babu Kushai, Shalak, Maika Allah, Ratazwadak, Allah Hayam, La, Maganawa, Wapa, Washmo, Alnawa, Baikor, Shalak, Awoka, Shaw, Yahushai, Lanawa, Lalamadnawa, Rabiam, Ma, Tabawana, Wada Aif, Show, the Baka, Basham, Yahushai, the Wada, Tamyad, Waiwulam, Amen. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh the great, merciful, mighty, terrible, Most High, Power, King of heaven and earth and all things living, also the anointed from Yahweh, our Lord, our friend, the wonderful counselor, Yahushai. Remember us, Yahweh, favorably, your people Israel. Help us build and gather Israel. Most High, we beg you, right now, like the days of old. Please send Michael and the righteous powers to protect us, heal us, and watch over us. Mainly send the Spirit of Yahushai to us to teach us much wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of thy word. In the name of Yahushai, thank you always and forever. So be it. Repeat the Hebrew only. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai that gives to us the law. Barakata Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Asherah, Natananawa, Atharai. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai that gives to us the light to see. Barakata Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Asherah, Natananawa, Awar, Lara Ora. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai that gives to us the ransom to call the people. Ba'arakata Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Asherah, Natananawa, Koran, Ha'ayol, Lachara, Ha'ain. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai that gives to us the olive oil to anoint Israel. Ba'arakata Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Asherah, Natananawa, Asheman, Zayaf, Amashah. Yasha Allah. Yeshabra, please be seated. All right, Shalom, Israel. Shalom, brothers and sisters watching live, wherever you are, across states, or even in countries. Welcome to Hayashua Kanas, where we teach the so-called Negroes and Hispanics, those whose forefathers came here on cargo slave ships. They are the real Jews that the Bible speaks of. Today is the Lord's Sabbath day. In introduction, my name is Priest Pukwad, and I am presiding over the service this Sabbath. All right, so get your pen, paper ready. And the chapter that we will be reading in today is in the Apocrypha, the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13 and chapter 14. In those chapters, we're going to read some wisdom, and it's going to talk about the foolishness of men and the foolishness of people, or also we're going to talk about idols, how the Most High detests and hate idols. All right, so we're gonna go right into the reading. Hope everybody is doing okay, given the challenges in the time we're in. Brother touched on going through tribulation, and one thing that we should always keep in mind that Israelites have always been in tribulation, right? And we always been in crisis mode. So crisis to us is pretty much a test to get us to where we were originally. And crisis shouldn't phase us to the point where we lose our sanity. I'm speaking about those of us who've been blessed by the grace of God to understand some of what we are reading, that we know that it's pertaining to us, Israelite, those scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, right? That the Most High said in time that he will scatter us. So if you are able to understand and comprehend that you are an Israelite and we are God's chosen people and we ought to follow his law, statutes, and commandments, it is a blessing. And with that blessing come tests, right? And tests never last for long. And we know that from school. Even when you take a test in school, there's always a time limit. It could be an hour, it could be 2 hours, depending on the subject matter that you are being tested on. So it's the same thing with any trial, any tribulation, or any crisis, whatever it may be, there's a time period allotted to it. All right, so to see if whatever we need to improve on, right, we can continue to improve on that, right? For each and every one of us, it's different, right? So for some of us, it's patience, right? For some of us, is long suffering. And for others, it may be charity. So whatever it might be that you are going through, at the end, this is not to conclude your life, but to make you better and to improve you, right? So to refine you and to make sure that you are in good standing when it comes to the law, statutes, commandments, and we are living according to the principles, all right, of value that the Most High set for the children of Israel, right, to rule and to control themselves accordingly. So we're gonna go into the chapter now, which is Wisdom of Solomon. So regardless of what's going on, be of good cheer. When tribulation comes, use it as a way to get better, right? Use tribulation, use challenges, use all these things, right, as a way to improve yourself. And when we face tribulation, believe it or not, our mind is at its sharpest because we have to think about things that we never thought of before and be creative and become better. All right, so let's go on first verse in Wisdom of Solomon. And it says, surely vain are all men by nature who are ignorant of God and could not out of the good things that are seen know him. Right? So right here, when it says surely, right, all people or all men by nature who are ignorant. So when he uses all men here, it's not speaking literally about men, it's speaking about people, right? It's speaking about people who are ignorant of God, who are ignorant of God. So what does it mean to be ignorant of God? Right? To be ignorant not only of God or to be ignorant of anything means to be lacking, right? Lacking education or knowledge of something, lacking education or knowledge of something, right? But in this case here, those people being referred to in verse 1, they are people who are lacking knowledge or education. They are not being educated in the knowledge and knowing God, right? They are unaware of God. Okay? So because they are unaware of God, they are, it says are ignorant of God and could not out of the good things that are seen. So what is this being referred to here? This is pretty much speaking of people who are into worshiping nature, the foolishness of nature worshiping. Right? They even have religion where people deem things in nature or whatever they may choose. They may choose the sky, they may choose the sun, they may choose the fire, they may choose water, they may choose something that they deem as a god, right? That control things. So here, for those people who are into worshiping nature and the things that nature has, right? Those people, they are ignorant, right? And could not out of the good things that are seen. So when you are ignorant, you are very limited in terms of formulate a good judgment, right? You lack the sense of judgment, right? To make decision about certain things, right? So since they lack knowledge of the Most High, they were not able to mentally make good judgment based on the thing that they see, right? Based on the thing that they see. Right, so let's go to verse 2. And also, to touch on the first verse further, it says, before I go on verse 2, it says, out of the good things that are seen, right? Know him, meaning they could not perceive from the things that are seen in nature, the creation, right? The everything that the Most High created. For example, like the stars, the sea, right? All these things are good, marvelous things that the Most High created, but yet in their observation, because of lack of knowledge or who God is, they could not perceive these as being creation of the Most High God. Verse 2. But deem either fire or wind or the swift air or the circle of the stars or the violent water or the lights of heaven to be the gods which govern the world. So because of the foolishness of these people, right? So they were unable to discern these things. That's in verse 2. Right? So, but they suppose, right? They suppose, that's what it means right here, to consider. They suppose, right? The deem, it says, but they suppose either fire or they believe, right? They suppose or they believe. That's what deem signifies right here. But they suppose or believe either fire or wind or the swift air or the circle of the stars or the violent water or the lights of heaven to be the gods, right? To be the gods which govern the world, right? To be the power that caused these things to have effectiveness, right? So they think because they look at these things in the thing that they can do, they were unable to discern these things for what they are. All right, so in verse 2 again, it says, but they deem either fire, suppose or consider fire or wind or the swift air or the circle of life to be the gods. So now, In verse 3, it says, with whose beauty, if they being delighted, took them to be gods. So when you look at the creation and the thing that the Most High have put here, from flowers to bees to trees to fruits, vegetables, things for our nutrient, the stars, the sun that give us light by day, right? These things are beautiful. They are beautifully made, right? So something of beauty is something that has a quality or combination of qualities, right, that give pleasure to the mind. So you can see how sometimes people go into a zoo, right, and they see different animals and how they admire the animals. You can see how people go to a place where there's a lot of, like for example, in a park, and you see the creation of God, the trees, and how beautiful they are, right? They have certain qualities or combination of qualities, right, that pleasant to the mind of the observer or those that there, right, to enjoy them, right? So these things give pleasure to the mind or a sense such as in harmony because of the form or how they are beautifully made, the color, right, how they are made, the proportion, the authenticity, and the originality of these things that the Most High created, right? So it says, with whose beauty, if they being delighted, right? Delighted means they get great pleasure. They extremely pleased at what they see, right? They love these things. Took them to be God. So now in the process of loving these things and enjoying this thing and find pleasure of these things, they get lost in the source and make these things God. Not without the understanding that these things are a means, but they are not the end, right? It says, took them to be God, let them know how much better the Lord of them is. So now, if these things created wonderfully and people are able to find pleasure, right, in their sense of qualities and beauty, right, in color and proportion, in various form, in diversity. So now this could not be an act of chance. So now imagine how better the architect or the planner or the designer, who is the Lord, how better is he than these things who we see in nature as so wonderfully as so beautifully made, right, and wonders. It says, imagine, right? It says much better than Lord of them is. Just imagine that. For the first author of beauty have created them. So an author is someone who originated something. And for the most part, in this modern day world, we know of author as a writer, right? So the Most High is the planner, is the writer, right, behind these things, right, who put these things together. So he's the author, the originator, right, who authenticate these beautiful things. So even beauty itself, right, the Most High created beauty, right? Beauty in various form, in different fashion. So he's the originator and the author of beauty. And he has created all these things. Now, verse 4. But if they were astonished, or if they were full of wonder, or woe, or wow about these things, if they were so, what can I use in this right here? So if they have sudden
sudden wonder about these things, right? Astonished at their power and virtue. So now at their power, for example, if you take fire, fire has the ability to be used to cook, to make a delicious dish, right? You can use fire for that. You can use fire, right, to mold certain things into, let's say, a beautiful a chain or diamond or what have you, in various of different things. So fire is something that is powerful, right? It's powerful. The system, how it is created, how you can perform different things, and how also fire can destroy. Fire can ravish a whole town, like we see in California, right? Fire can destroy a home, right? A home that it takes months and months to build, yet fire can destroy it in minutes. So now fire itself has power. So if they astonish at the power of fire or water, for example, how you can use water, right? Because they say about 80% to 85% of our body is water. And water also, when we read in the scriptures, it symbolizes life, right? And that's why Christ is being referred to as the life, as the water of life. So water can be used for countless things. So that has power and it moves around, right? So if we were astonished at their power in virtue, virtue is the effectiveness of how these things move, how they operate, right? So the virtue is the efficacy of how these things perform, right? So if they have power and virtue, let them understand by them how much mightier is he that made them. So now if these things that we are describing here, they are so powerful, they have virtue, and they can move around in different forms, right? Now imagine the architect who put in the different variants of how these things should operate, right? The manufacturer of these things will put them together and put the virtue in it so that we can use them today. So how much power you think that manufacturer or that author or the creator or the designer has, right? It says he is that made them, right? It says, for by the greatness and beauty of the creature, proportionably the maker of them is seen. So now when we look at these things, how great they are, how beautiful they are, how powerful they are in virtue, right? Now, this is just a part of the ingenuity of that creator. This is just a part, the proportionably the maker of them that is seen. So now that's why even us, with the knowledge and understanding that we have, that is very powerful, that's the mystery that is being revealed to us, even that is a part of the creator, right? Not the whole, right? So now let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 8 in verse 6. Actually, before that, all right, yeah, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 6. right? Keep in mind the topic of this is those who are foolishly worshiping things in nature, how they are ignorant of God in their quests, they fall into temptation. Now, 1 Corinthians chapter 8 in verse 6, and it reads, "But to us there is but one power, or one God, the Father, of whom are all things, and we in him, in one Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, by whom are all things, and we by him." So therefore, the Most High is the number one honor, the Father in Christ, the Son. The Son is the heir, and together with him we are partakers of Christ, because through him we are here. We exist for God, right? We exist for the Most High, and we are here in Christ based on Christ's making. So we exist for the Most High, and we exist in Christ. So Christ is the second in command, and by him all things were created. So the author of this nature that people claim that the things are supposedly the gods that rule over the world, he is the creator of them all. So now, in verse 6, and before we go to verse 6, let's go to Colossians. Colossians chapter 1 and verse 16. So we just read 1 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 6. Now we're going to go to Colossians chapter 1 and verse 16. Colossians. All right, so in Colossians chapter 1, verse 16, it says, "For by him were all things created." I read it again. "For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities." Principalities, right? We're talking about authorities. We're talking about laws, right? Anything that we see righteous created by him. Principalities or powers, right? The ability of a system to function, right? To move accordingly, right? So all these things were created by him. Right? So power, right? Power. The capacity of a system or machine to operate. Our body is like a machine. the best ever in creation. This body that we have right here. And if we ponder on it and do a little research to try to get an understanding of the body, we'll realize how wonderfully made that body was made. Right? The perfect machine. And it has the capacity and everything to operate. Think about the manufacturer who manufactured this body here. How great that manufacturer is. And that manufacturer sent us just as a world manufacturer would have everything that the machine needs to operate in terms of instructions. I have not seen a manufacturer that create a product without putting the instruction on how to operate this product. This is on a low level. Imagine the Most High. The Most High give us this as the instruction, not only to operate the machine, which is us controlling ourselves, also subdue everything in creation. But because of our disobedience and rebelliousness, we lost that dominion. And we're going to read on, and we're going to find out, more later as we continue to read on. It says in verse 6, but yet, right? It says, but yet. It says, but yet. For this, they are the less to be blamed. Now, check this out. As we're reading here, they said, even they are the less to be blamed, and we're gonna see why. And it goes along with how I describe the beauty of creation, the beauty of creation, how it's wonderfully made, right? Now it says, but yet for this they are the less to be blamed. Those people who are foolish and ignorant of God, they are less to be blamed. It's not saying they are not to be blamed, they are less to be blamed. And then we're gonna see what it says later on. How they are less to be blamed. Let's take a look at, again, let's revisit what I just said earlier, the beauty of nature. You can take water, for example. Water is formed and you can use it to water your garden. Without water, forget about agriculture. Without water, forget about agriculture. Forget about food. So since we need water and we need food, since we need to eat, so the Most High created water to allow the fruit to grow so we can have it to use. We need water to wash our clothes. we need water to wash our body. I'm just giving examples, but to go into details on how water is useful, we can take the whole entire session of the service and we would not finish. So, with that power given to water and how it is made and how effective it is easy for those who are unlearned and don't know about God to go astray. To think these things are very powerful, I think I can worship him as a God. This is my God. And one of the leaders of an Esau in the fall of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, supposedly a leader of a nation, he himself said that nature is his God. And he was the 8th and last leader before the Soviet Union, the communist system, collapsed in Russia. So imagine, even them, they were mesmerized and wonder at the beauty of nature to the point where he think that nature is his God. So that's why when we read here, but yet for this day are the less to be blamed, for they peradventure, for the adventure, or perhaps err, meaning they went astray. What would cause them to go astray? Read on. It says seeking God. So they go astray, peradventure, perhaps trying to figure God, trying to find God, they went astray and desire to find him, right? They desire to find him. So now they went on a quest to diligently seek God. So in the meantime, they got lost in the source. They got lost in the beauty of these things. So they got overpowered by the beauty of this thing, the effectiveness and the power, the virtue behind these things. So they fall. It says, verse 7, for being cognizant in his work. So what does that mean here? Being cognizant, being knowledgeable, right? Being knowledgeable. They cognizant, knowledgeable, experience. So now we have people here today who are experienced astrologers. They are experienced at study water. Go down in the water and explore. We have expert at studying fire. Right? We have expert at many different things. So now they become experienced or cognizant in the Most High's work. They search him diligently. So they have universities. Right? They study these things. They become familiar with those things. So they become acquainted with those things in nature that the Most High created. So they have great knowledge. So they pretty much spend time trying to understand these things. So now in their quests, they err. They become so familiar with them. It says, conversant in his works, they search him diligently and believe their sight. So now, as they search diligently, right? They search diligently, they believe their sight. Right? So they believe their sight. So they err. To go astray morally, or sin, or transgress. That's pretty much what it means, that error right there, right? So now, Most High pretty much, with all these things, He warned us before time, right, of these things, to not get caught up in these things, because I know how I made them. You will be amazed at them, but don't fall into the temptation of worshiping these things. Okay, so let's go to Deuteronomy. See what the Most High told us aforetime not to do, to warn us. Deuteronomy 4:19. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 19. And it says, unless thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven. When you lift up your eyes unto heaven, what do you see? You see, first thing, if you look at it in the daytime, you see the sun bright in the day. Man, that's beautiful. Unless thou lift up thine eyes unto the heaven. If you look at it at night, what do you see? You see the moons and the stars, right? And the armies above. It says unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them. Driven mean to not get taken or overpowered. When you're driven, meaning the force, the power, the beauty of these things can propel you, right, to worship them. Do not let that happen. Don't let anything overpower you or overtake you. But these things, they have beauty because the Most High created them. They are wonderfully made. They are very powerful. And serve them, which the Lord thy God hath divided unto all nations, unto the whole heaven. Right? The Most High divided unto all nations. You go to Egypt, you see it. You go to anywhere you go around the world, wherever the Most High give a lot or a portion for a nation, including the nation of Israel, to dwell, you will be witnessing this wonderful creation of the Most High when you look up to heaven. Everybody can see them. But do not fall into temptation of worship these things. So let's move on. For being conversant in his work, they search him diligently and believe their sight, because the things are beautiful that are seen. Verse 8, albeit neither are they to be pardoned. Here you go. It's the flip side of it. It's the flip side of it. Nonetheless, right, as they seeking, right, they performing the activity of looking thoroughly in order to find something or someone, predominantly to find, search for the Most High, right? And they become conversant, right? Experienced, acquainted, right? Familiar with these things, study diligently these things. It says, albeit neither are they to be pardoned or to be excused, right? To be excused or to release from wrongdoing, right? Or to escape punishment for wrongdoing. Verse 9, for if they were able to know so much that they could aim at the world, right? How did they not sooner find out the Lord thereof? Right? If they were so astute and steady, diligently, put time in to figure this thing out, right? They aim, meaning their attention, they pay close attention at studying these things. They aim at it, or they make it their target, right? To figure out who's behind these things. that are wonderful made. So they make it a target to investigate these things. So now that's why they are not pardoned or excused. If they did that, they were very diligent in trying to figure out who's behind that. Sooner or later, they should have figured out the Lord is the master that rule over all these things. So that's why they are not excused. That's why they are not pardoned. They should have sooner than later see that these things, the way they are made, is the work of a great, great and mighty designer. They should have not made that mistake. Regardless of the beauty contained in these things, that beauty should pretty much enforce them to know that this could not be an act of chance, like the Big Bang Theory. Like the Big Bang Theory, or like a big explosion of energy. And that explosion of energy then manifests, and then it manifests. It create the apes, or it create the monkeys, and then from the monkeys we evolve, and then we start walking, and then we hear, and then we breathe, and then we foolishness, right? We evolve from monkeys, right? The sun was just an explosion of atom. The atom just explode, and as the atom explode and it move up the sky, and you can see some of these people how they are so foolish because they are ignorant of God's righteousness. It says, for if they were able to know so much by studying these things, that they could aim at the world or target to study the world, how did they not sooner find out the Lord or thereof, the master of these things? Okay. How should they not find out? How should they not find out? Right? The Lord is the master of them all. Now, verse 10. But now we're gonna switch gear into a different variation of what we've been reading from 13 to 9. Now it's about idolatry. So now that we study these things and we become knowledgeable, meaning people will become knowledgeable about these things, they aim at it to create universities in laboratories, create study and research, do expedition, do all kinds of scientific studies, right, of these things. Now, they still did not figure who is behind these great creation. So this is the beginning of idol worshiping. So now transition into idol worshiping. Foolishness of idolatry. Verse 10. But miserable, unhappy, recklessness, miserable are they. And in dead things is their hope. Who called them gods, right? But miserable are they, and in dead things is their hope. Those who call the things that the Most High created, will call them gods. That's miserable. And then we're going to see Because of these things now, what they do, they look at the sun, they start making image, create image. They look at the other thing, they start creating statues, mimicking the resemblance of these things. And now they start to worship these things. And in dead things is their hope. When you put your hope on something, you wish, right? You wish of an event occurring that is possible, that you think is possible, right? They put their hope, who call them gods, which are the works of men's hand, gold and silver, to show art in, and resemblance of beasts, or a stone good for nothing, the work of an ancient end. This is what we've been reduced to. This is what people have been reduced to. Foolish people have been reduced to. Creating image and worship them. So they are foolish. Okay? So, verse 11. Now, a carpenter is going to go into the making of these instruments of idolatry. Now, a carpenter that felleth timber, so a carpenter went to a tree and saw off the tree. After he have sawn down a tree, meat for the purpose. So now, trees again is being used, can be used for many things, right? Including making a table. Keep in mind, the Most High and his infinite wisdom and intelligence, he also wanted us to reproduce from his creation. Produce and reproduce. Because keep in mind, when the Most High gave us instruction, we did not have a table. The Most High gave us trees. And from the tree, he hide the table. Because we are his work, we are his creation, created in his image. He knew that we would come up with a table from the tree. So he hid the table in the tree, unmade. So now we take the tree, we cut it and carve it. We have a table to sit on. That's a useful production. And countless of other things that we can use trees for. To make a door for security in your place of abode, to build a house, to build a vessel. A lot of useful things can we use trees for, right? It says, now a carpenter that's felleth timber, meaning cut down a tree. After he took out the necessary part of the tree that is good for him to use for his necessities, for his tree meat for the purpose, and taken off all the bark skillfully round about, and have wrought it handsomely and made a vessel thereof fit for the service of men's life. So now I just mentioned the vessel here. A vessel is made for the purpose of traveling around from coast to coast to increase in riches, transportation. So he create that fit service for men's life. So that's why we ought to be good producers. And that's why when the Most High gave Adam instruction, he gave him work to do. At the same time, he gave him work to do. He did not tell Adam to go and make seeds, assuming that we all here comes with a seed in us, or multiple seeds. So therefore, he told Adam to be fruitful. He did not tell Adam to go and find seeds, because he knew he had already put the seeds in Adam. So he tell him to be fruitful. So Adam didn't have to worry about go find seeds. So we all have a seed, but most of us are not being fruitful. We got the seed, but not being fruitful. And it says, but verse 11, it's in verse 12 now. So now he make it for vessel thereof fit for service of men's life. So now keep in mind, see right here, he made the vessel. Of course, he's going to benefit from it, but he make it for men's, benefiting men's life. So if we come with a seed, a skillful seed, don't always think about what you're going to gain, because your seed is to benefit somebody else. Just as we drink orange juice, orange doesn't benefit from orange, but we do. Okay? So orange doesn't benefit from orange, we benefit from orange. So always think about the end of what you are creating, who's gonna benefit from it, as opposed to your first hand, your gain. Okay? It says in verse 12, and after spending the refuse, so now after he pretty much get the tree necessary to build the vessel, not the refuse, the leftovers of the tree, you know, the scrap of the tree. It says refuses the tree, this work is the dress. It says, in taking the very refuse among those which serve to no use, right? They, being a crooked piece of wood and full of knots, have carved it diligently when he had nothing. I'm sorry, I read it off the top again. And taking the very refuse among those which serve to no use, being a crooked piece of wood. So now you just pretty much the rest of the wood that's left, things that is not fit for, you know, what he's building as far as building the vessel. So whatever's left over that he has no use of, now that's what he's gonna use, right? It says it diligently when he had nothing, his understanding, and fashion it to image of a man. So now that's creating a statue out of the refuse of that tree. Like in his spare time, you know how sometimes people in their spare time they pretty much making up things, you know, because they got spare time in there when they don't have nothing better to do, and they decide, you know, to start imagining things, you know, to make. Sometimes some things that are imagined are good things, but not to say everything that imagined are bad. But this is speaking in the case of creating an idol here, right? It says, and fashion it. Fashion it means make something new out of it, right? Make something new out of it. Or verse 14, or made it like some vile beast, laying it over with vermilion and with paint coloring. So this is going into the details, the detailing of making that piece of wood carved in a picture of a man or in a picture of an animal, right? Now he's gonna pretty much fashion, design it, and put colors on it, and whatever he wants or she wants to make out of it. He wants to make it resemble that. So now he's gonna put paint on it. He's gonna give it the different color that matches what he has imagined, right? Made it like some vile beast, okay? It says, and with paint coloring in red and covering every spot, right? Any little, you know, spot that doesn't seem pleasant to the eye. So he's gonna try to fashion it so he can pretty much bring it out where it is acceptable, you know, to men, to men's liking. Okay. All right. And it says, when he had nothing else to do, here you go right there. Here you go right there. When he has nothing not to do, yeah, okay, full of knot, have carved it diligently. He carved it diligently, meaning with skill of in the art of designing or carving diligently, but he put time in it, right? When he had nothing else to do, right? So in his spare time, right? And form it by the skill of his understanding. So he formed it by the skill, by his talent, right? But his understanding, and he carved it. So that's why you see a lot of images of symbols and of different beasts that you see in idol worshiping, right? You see these things. Whoever's designing it, don't think it's innocent, right? He has some understanding of what he's doing, the projection of the desire or the response that he's looking for once it's done. That's somebody gonna accept it. Oh man, this thing is beautiful, right? It's an understanding and fashion it to the image of a man. It could be a man, right? Or made it like some vile beast, laying it over with vermilion and with paint, coloring it red and covering every spot therein, right? Verse 15. And when he had made a convenient room for it, so now it's time to display it, right? You're gonna make a spot for it and display it. Even when you go to the stores, right? You go to some Korean stores, Chinese store. You see that they got a picture right there in the corner, right? And let's put a spot right there in the corner. And when you come in and you see they put oranges, they put apple in front of it, right? This is what this is talking to right here. This is idols. When you go to these things, don't just look at it, but remember what you read and understand this. This is what these people do, right? This is what these people, including some of our people, even in the island, right? In the island of Haiti, they do a lot of that stuff. A lot of that stuff, right? In Africa, they do a lot of that stuff. And everywhere around the world, people have some form of idol that they created that they deem to be, or they believe to be God, to be their God. It says, and when he had made a convenient room for it, right, set it in a wall, and made it fast with iron. So now, when they finish, they install it. Nice spot that they some people have a room. They have a room, and that the special room, that room, nobody can go in it except them, right? It's that room is like a second room, wickedness, right? Second room, that's where they go and worship that God. They make sure they fix it, tie it up, make sure that it can't fall. Supposedly a God, but they have to make sure that they attend to it, right? So that it doesn't fall. This is the foolishness. Verse 16. For he provided for it that it might not fall, knowing that it was unable to help itself, right? It was unable to help itself. So now he has a need to secure it so it doesn't fall, because a piece of wood cannot do anything, cannot protect itself. So he needs somebody to put it there, right? For it is an image and have need of help. Verse 17. Then maketh he prayer for his good. So to make matters worse, he made prayer and hoping, wishing, peradventure, that his wish will come to fruition by, the power of that image. Right? You see that in the Catholic Church, in other churches. You see all those idols there. People wearing robes and stuff like that, appearing to be holy, but denying the Most High's power and not knowing of the Most High to begin with, because they are ignorant and they become foolish. They become fool. To become a fool means lack sense of mental capacity to reason properly. Mental ability to reason properly. If anybody take this and worship it, meaning the sense of judgment is not there. The sense of true judgment is not there. The truth is not in him or her. Then make a prayer for his goods, for his wife. So now he's making prayer for his wife, for his children, and is not ashamed to speak to that which is not life, which have no life. So he's not afraid, because at this point now, he's already been embellished with the idea of that deity. So some of the wishes, verse 18, for health, he calleth upon that which is weak. Right? He calleth on that which is weak, meaning inanimate. Inanimate. When you're weak, you can't move. Right? So I'm feeling weak right now, I can't get up. That's the weakest form. That statue. Least, it says weak. For life prayer. For life prayer. To that which is dead. To that which is dead. No life. There's no life in it. For aid. Humbly beseecheth that which have least means to help. And for a good journey, Now, when he's gonna go to a journey or he's gonna travel, he prayed that he can have a safe journey to that statue. He asketh of that which cannot set a foot forward. So now he is going into a journey, but the statue itself cannot make one step to go anywhere, yet he or she or the people, the foolish people, are praying to that statue. At least you can move, but the statue itself that you're praying to cannot go anywhere. Verse 19. And for gaining and getting and for good success of his hand, asketh ability to do of him that is most unable to do anything. For skill, for the ability to have success, right? To have good success. Meaning to prosper. For a thing to prosper in his hand. When he touched something that he prayed that he can make the right decision to prosper, to increase. He asked for the ability, for the power, right? The ability, the power, the capacity, right? To make things happen of him. Of him mean ability to do of him, right? For the statue to do of him. And the statue is most able to do anything whatsoever. Powerless, powerless. That's why this, when we transition in verse 10, it said miserable. Miserable are these people. Miserable are these people who follow after idolatry. All right, so that's conclude chapter 13. A brief recess, I would say about 30 minutes. We'll reconvene for the next chapter. So stay tuned. We'll be back very soon.